Morning everybody! Today is a really special day. First of all, Sunday. Second of all, 14 days of this daily language diary. It's been amazing, and you know what I can't wait for? 14 more days. I also have a question for all of you today. How the tables have turned. I've enjoyed the idea of starting a podcast for a very long time now, and over the last year, and then especially the last 6 months, and even more the last 3 months, more and more people are asking me, have you ever thought about starting a podcast? I think it could be really nice. So it's getting to a point where, especially as I'm settling down into a really great rhythm now with my sort of daily publishing, but also my living space and just general content production. And especially as projects like Journaly and my new website /blog/shop are getting close to finally launching, I want to just ask you the question, would you enjoy me having a podcast? And if so, what would it look like? Would you enjoy it to be a longer format where I have a longer discussion and dive deeper into things and perhaps more of a casual sort of format? Or would you prefer them to be really short? Would you like to see a lot more interviews and discussions with other people? Or would you just hate the idea of me having a podcast? So let me know in the comments. I would love to hear your thoughts. And for now, let's jump into the daily question. Cheers. Now I'm going to keep today's daily question video a little bit shorter than usual because this afternoon I'm going to be releasing part 2 of my really great discussion that I had with Jake, who is the CEO of Restructure, and we did a live Chinese tutoring session together a couple of weeks ago. So with 2 videos in one day, I'm going to keep this one a little bit shorter than usual. So Alex Trotman writes in, do you think that a person could restructure their life in order to learn languages faster and more effectively? So I think this is an interesting one. The first thing I'll say is that very often there's actually a lot we can do even within the current structure of our lives to really improve how we are learning languages or any other skill. This is a perfect example of when I love doing exercises like going through and creating the dead time planner, as we discussed in a recent video about how to make a language learning routine, because that's one really nice way of sort of getting a high level view of the current structure of your life and identifying all the different places where you can actually squeeze in dead time. I find that people are often very surprised at how many hours they could potentially use for learning languages just by using the dead time in their current life routine or structure. So for someone who's looking to sort of restructure their whole life to accommodate their goals of learning languages, I think the first step I would take is that I would try to say, okay, how can I better use my current life structure, my current routine, my current schedule to make a lot more time for learning languages and to do so more effectively. Now, once you've done this and you've said, okay, I think I've really taken a look at the different ways I could find dead time or find times to use dedicated study time, and I still feel like I need a bit of a deeper restructuring of things. This is not a universal piece of advice and it doesn't necessarily work for everybody, but in my personal experience, just like talking to friends, my own life, and then also of course working with a lot of students over the years, the most impactful and often practical way to restructure things has been to get up earlier. Now again, I know that some people really don't want to do this, or maybe you already get up early, or maybe you have other reasons why this is not feasible. But again, I'm just talking from experience of people I've worked with and people I've known, that very often getting up an hour earlier can be a great way to sort of adjust the structure of your daily routine and just all of a sudden create this whole golden hour of time that is only dedicated for studying. To be totally honest with you, a lot of the projects that I have done over the years, such as writing my book, doing this YouTube channel, and certainly things like building Journaly, or even just like becoming a software developer and all of the hours that were required to learn those skills to get my first job. There's no way I could have accomplished those things if it weren't for the fact that I restructured my life so that I was getting up a lot earlier and I had multiple hours every single morning to be effective in learning those skills. In the book Atomic Habits, which we've discussed a few times on this channel and I will be doing a full review of soon, he talks at one point about how you can be the architect of your environment. And so one example I really liked from the book was that He's like, if you want to read more, then what you could do is when you get up in the morning, you can put a book on your pillow so that this way your environment supports these goals that you have, because when you go to bed in the evening, you will be reminded and you'll have a book waiting for you, and all you have to do is open the book and read it until you fall asleep. So the short answer is yes, I do think that you can certainly restructure your life in a whole number of ways. Of course, it depends on your life circumstances. Some people are going to have a lot more flexibility than others in terms of how much they can really restructure everything. But I think that there are probably always ways that you can improve the way that you're using the current structure of your life. There are some ways that you can adjust that structure without necessarily intruding on the things that are important, like your job or your family, by perhaps waking up earlier. And by the way, this also might mean going to bed a bit earlier. And then finally, there might be some things you can do just to architect your environment to also just better support these goals that you have. Okay, hope that was helpful. I'll see you here tomorrow for another amazing week of language learning, and also be sure to look out for that video with Jake this afternoon.